everybody. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I have two special guests here for the show today. Can y'all both announce to the world who you are and where y'all calling from?
Hi, my name is Leslie Shaw, and this is my husband, Stephen Shaw. We are the authors of Who They Are and What They're Up To, a UFO book where we explore our theories about who is flying the UFOs in our skies. What else should I say?
And we're calling from Southern California near Palm Springs.
Oh, yes, we're in the deserts outside, just east of Los Angeles.
A hot spot.
Yeah.
I love y'all energy. Okay, we're going to start with Leslie. Miss Leslie, first you tell me about your past, present, and future, and then we're going to move to you. Okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I grew up in Los Angeles area, and I went to college for animation and also minored in ancient art history, which came in very handy with this book. Then I've been a journalist for the past 20 years, and I'm still working for the newspaper part-time. I'm a copy editor and page layout person for them. And we are working on our second book, where we explore our theories about more about Bigfoot and the Akashic Record.
Okay, how about you, Mr. Shaw?
Yes, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley in Woodland Hills. I went to elementary school there. I grew up in a family that came from wartime England. I just grew up with the knowledge that we had a family spirit guide called Old Glegley that protected and helped our family. So I grew up in kind of like what some of my friends would call like a haunted house, but it wasn't. So I didn't really talk to them about it very much. And I became a state licensed acupuncturist. I was that for 20 years in California, and taught Tai Chi for 23 years. I grew up as a cabinet maker with my father, did 6 years in the military and the Navy. I've been a lifelong musician. I still am part of the Joshua Tree Philharmonic here up in Joshua Tree. And I just decided around about the age of 30 that I was getting tired of kind of not really knowing what was going on. I was having recurring incidents that were happening in my life that I could not explain. And the family spirit guide thing just didn't add up for me. So I've been on a quest really for me since about 1991 to find some answers.
Well said. Miss Leslie, tell me about your journalism. What have you written about? And then I'll go to you, Mr. Shaw.
Well, I'm working for a small town paper. We do a lot of covering about the potluck at the community center. So it's not like a big city paper.
But also stuff at the military base.
Sure, and I covered the 29 Palms military base, the Marine Corps base out there, and also whatever happenings in Yucca Valley, and we'd get the occasional murder, and it would be exciting,
Tell me about Tai Chi, Mr. Shaw. Like, what is Tai Chi?
Tai Chi Chuan is loosely called like a moving meditation, but it's a lot more than that. It is what's called a soft style martial art, where you learn to use your energy, which is, they call it chi energy, to basically deflect at anything from like a bad conversation with a person to a physical fight. It's very well known, very well respected. It was one of these things that I was drawn to when I was about 17 years of age through the church I was going to at the time. And from there, I studied also monkey kung fu and hapkido, and I taught Tai Chi for 23 years. It basically changed my life in a lot of ways. I learned that, for one thing, I learned that I could get along with anybody in the world just by listening. A lot of it is listening and being sensitive. And it really helped me a lot with my acupuncture, being able to like listen to what a person's saying and feel their pulses and check their tongue. It's an amazing ability to have. And because I came from a very psychic family, I think that really kind of helped me in that way.
Yeah.
Well said. Both of y'all, now we're to the topic of the day, and we're going to start with you, Leslie. What do you know about UFOs?
Well, gosh, how to start? Years ago, we started doing our research into UFOs. We're both UFO witnesses, and we believe Stephen's family have been victims of the abduction phenomenon. So as we started researching it, we noticed that UFO theories were not fitting UFO facts. So as our research continued, that became more and more apparent. And what we had to do then was throw out those theories that weren't fitting the facts and construct new ones. And the new theories, we believe, do fit the facts. Years ago, I read Admiral Byrd's diary. Have you ever heard about that?
No, Miss Shaw.
Admiral Byrd was a hero and adventurer from the 1940s, winner of the Medal of Honor, kind of a national hero and explorer. He flew over the poles in airplanes and stuff. And he wrote a diary that was found after he died about a meeting with the Ariani, a people living under the ice sheet of Antarctica. And when we were applying our theories to the idea that UFOs are coming from distant star systems and faraway star systems, that's where we were finding things weren't fitting. But as soon as we changed the theory to where the UFOs are being launched by a secret organization of people living underground and under the ice sheet, then suddenly everything started to fall into place. That's why they're seen 10,000 times a year. They live here. That's why they're so worried about our nukes. They're worried about being killed too. That's why they are stealing our cattle from the surface mutilating the cattle, because they live here and they have underground. We think they have underground herds of cattle that they need regular infusions of surface DNA from. It explains why they're abducting mostly Caucasian people, because we think they're a branch of the Caucasian race.
Nordics.
Admiral Byrd described them as essentially Swedes. They look like tall, blonde, blue-eyed, green-eyed Swedes. And the Nordic aliens are supposed to be indistinguishable from Swedish people. So that, and also there was the Valiant Thor evidence. Valiant Thor was an alien that landed in a Virginia field in 1957 and was taken to the Pentagon, and he advised the Pentagon for 3 years. Valiant Thor was a Caucasian, red-haired man. So we stopped thinking that UFOs are coming from distant star systems. And as soon as we looked at much more locally and much more here on this planet, then suddenly all of these theories started to click into place.
Before I go to you, Mr. Shaw, I have a question for you, Ms. Shaw. Okay, so I talk about on my show sometimes, I've been visited by UFOs, but I wanted to know, the military, they use this telescope, this huge telescope, to look at distant planets. What if they were looking at planets hundreds of years behind us, and they go to those planets to help them or try to trade, secrets and whatnot? But if they go to the wrong planet that's more advanced than us, something could happen and they could get angry with us. I don't know. But tell me your theory on, what do you think about planets being hundreds of years, younger, what do you think about that? I don't know.
I'm not sure I completely understand.
Okay, so the question goes, let me tell you again. Okay, so the question goes like this. There are distant planets that are like under us. Like we're like in 2024. They could be like in the 1900s, 1800s, and not know how to create maybe electricity, or they need help. So right. What would happen if how can we possibly help those planets? Or should I say, those planets, why aren't they looking at those planets, those type of planets, so we can trade? Like, for instance, we need another sun. China has their own sun. And so, they have their own sun in a laboratory. So pretty much, I just wanted to know, what's your theory on planets that are behind us and planets that are ahead of us? Is that true?
I see. Well, any distant planet, any distant star system, yes, people have no idea what it would take for us to get there.
True.
And one of the things I most like about our theories is that it doesn't require wormholes or time travel or interdimensional travel. In our theories, these creatures are living in our same time scape as we are. And distant planets are not really in our purview yet. We're spotting them with the telescope, but they're so far away, and we don't even have a clear-cut planet yet that we are for sure has life on it yet.
Understood.
But in our own solar system, we think these creatures have bases around our own solar system. And in that one way, they are extraterrestrial. We think they have bases on Mars, on the other side of the moon. A structure was spotted on the moon Phobos, which is one of Mars's moons. So we think they are sharing our solar system with us. And as far as helping others, we are they are more advanced than we are. We believe they're more spiritually advanced than we are, and also much more technologically advanced than we are. And we also believe they are close cousins to us. And that's why every single alien type that has been spotted and recorded by people is a hominid being, a one head, two arms, and two legs kind of being.
Walking upright.
Yes. Whereas if they were coming from all different solar systems all around the universe, we think there'd be all kinds of varieties of alien. But we think they're all sourced here on Earth originally.
Well said, Miss Shaw. What about you, Mr. Shaw? What do you think?
Well, I think number one that if we were to look forward in our galaxy, which means they would be less evolved because it would be further out on the arm of our galaxy, that we don't quite have the technology to be able to like go there to start with and say, yeah, okay, well, you're back like 200 or 300 years, less evolved than we are. But with our theory is that around about 13,000 years ago, that we can pretty much prove at this point that there was a cataclysm, an apocalypse that had to do with a comet that hit our Earth that we had foreknowledge of, that there was 1,200 different flood myths that can prove that we had foreknowledge of a year or two that we were going to get hit by a comet, and we were told to do something about it. Kind of like in the Deep Impact movie.
Yeah.
But actually, but if you look into like the Mahabharata and the even the Book of Enoch and in the Bible, you'll see there's always foreknowledge, which means that we were pretty advanced. We were highly advanced as human beings on the planet at that time.
At 13,000 years ago.
At 13,000 years, and now we have the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
We have in Lake Superior, they call it the
Younger Dryas Comet has been found
12,850 years ago.
It struck the Great Lakes area, and when the ice sheet was, it actually struck the ice because back then we were in an ice age.
We were just coming out
13,000 years ago, and the Great Lakes were covered by ice. And it's called the Younger Dryas Comet. It hit the Earth 13,000 years ago. We know for sure that it had hit because about 2 decades ago we discovered nanodiamonds in the
not us personally.
Yeah, not us personally. But actually, it was longer ago than that. About 4 decades ago, they discovered nanodiamonds in the 13,000-year-old soil, which proved there was a celestial impact of some kind at that time.
And nanodiamonds can only be produced in one way: when a celestial body comes through the Earth's atmosphere at about between 30 and 40,000 miles per hour, and the dust particles are superheated and supercharged, where they become these like little what you call nanodiamonds,
tiny round diamonds.
So we know. So now we know. In other words, we knew about the murderer, but we needed to find the murder weapon and when it happened.
Right. And at first we thought it was the Hiawatha asteroid impact crater. That could have been it. But it turned out not to be. It turned out to be a much older crater. But then another crater was discovered about 1,000 miles away. And that has been dated to the correct time period. And we think that this catastrophic event is what caused the human race to split into the people who had to live on the surface and get almost wiped out to a man, or the people that went underground like they did in Deep Impact and took their technology with them and set themselves up safely underground to survive the impact. Then the cataclysm caused climate change that was drastic climate upheavals for about 1,000 years after the impact.
That's also the soil samples too. It's called
the Younger Dryas boundary. 13,000 years ago, there's a layer of soil about 1,100 years deep that shows drastic cataclysmic climate change. So we believe that that's why they stayed underground. They didn't come back up to the surface because they couldn't have grown food for about 1,000 years.
It would have been very limited, to say the least.
Right.
Yes.
So what you're saying is there's an advanced civilization of different races living below us.
Correct.
Primarily the Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the if y'all know about the Big Bang? What's your theory on it? Both of y'all, I love the way y'all chime in on each other.
Well, the Big Bang, of course, is the most recent one. Before that, it was the static state, or the static solar system
theories, yeah.
that was overturned by the Big Bang. And now the Big Bang is being questioned by people that are in favor of, like what Hawking was talking about, the string theory, okay, and about 10 to 11 different universes. And so there's controversy even within the Big Bang. So
yes, I actually don't believe in the Big Bang theory. I have a different one.
Tell me.
Okay. Well,
yeah, tell me.
In our religious practices, we learned about the tree of life and these 10 dimensions. The God is like this central being to the universe, and then it expands outward and creates like a ring of hydrogen around it, and that hydrogen compacts until it
becomes helium.
It becomes molecules, and then finally planets, and then finally compacts into big black holes. Once these black holes reach a certain size and density, we think they actually crush the matter that's inside of them and spew it out into the next dimension ring out, and the next dimension ring out, and the next dimension ring out. And we're on dimension ring 9 now, according to that theory.
I can't understand that. What was you going to say, Mr. Shaw?
When I was 23, I was sitting by a pool, and I was just thinking about the universe and things like that, because I was just starting to get into acupuncture and all that. And it was interesting knowing about matter and energy and things such as that. And I started thinking about, well, this condominium I'm sitting in front of in this pool, well, somebody had to have a thought. They had to have imagination to be able to even think about building this here. And then I started to take it back in my mind. Well, then everything on the planet had to have thought and imagination. Then I thought, well, then wouldn't the planet have to have thought and imagination? So what I came to the conclusion when I was 23 is that thought actually trumps matter and energy, because you have to have the thought and the imagination to even have anything built in the first place. So thinking of a guy and being a cabinet maker at the time and studying Tai Chi, I thought, well, this makes a lot of sense. Couldn't it be that thought and imagination is actually more primal than energy and matter? Just something to put out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about Phil Snyder and Bob Lazar? What are your inputs on those two individuals?
Well, Phil Snyder was the one who was a whistleblower that ended up being mysteriously strangled by a rubber pipe.
Rubber tubing was wrapped around him.
Rubber tube.
Yes, he's one of our sources in our book, actually. We were talking earlier about underground bases, right? And one of them is called the Dulce Air Force Base in UFO circles. It's an underground base under the Archuleta Mesa in New Mexico. And the first 5 levels underground are supposed to be human occupant only, but the bottom 2 levels are U.S. military / alien personnel. And Phil Schneider was a contractor who went to enlarge he was hired to enlarge the base. And so they were drilling away and bringing down walls and stuff. And then suddenly a wall came down. And on the other side of it, he was face to face, he said, with a tall, stinky gray alien, to quote him directly. And he said there were both the tall grays and reptilians on the other side of this wall. And a firefight ensued where 66 black berets and green berets, I think he said, were killed. And Schneider himself had a couple of fingers blown off in the battle.
Damage, yes. Mm-hmm.
And then he went on a speaking tour telling the world about what he had seen. And then we think he had to be silenced by the government.
He was not keeping his mouth shut, and he was found mysteriously
Murdered.
strangled by a rubber tube, which is a really, really bizarre way of like trying to kill yourself.
And of course they called it a suicide. They always call it a suicide, you know.
Heart attack, suicide, whatever, you know.
In our book we
What about Bob
discuss.
Lazar? What about
Sorry?
Bob Lazar? What about Bob Lazar?
Oh yes, we just saw a great documentary on him the other day. But yes, we believe his stories are true.
I started reading about him back in 1988. And at that time, there was a lot of disinformation going around that he was a fake whistleblower and whatnot. But, you know, he was talking about way back 30 years ago about element 115. And
Yes.
Now we've been able
And sure
to,
enough, they've been isolated.
we've been able to manufacture it and reproduce it. And literally, it's what he was saying was true. And a lot of the stuff he's been saying has become, you know, reality, you know, and it's what he's saying is like, it's not beyond the belief possibility. So yeah, we know element 115 exists because we can make it.
And Bob, he testified to the Area 51, of course, we know that is the secret base, but he said that his works were on the secret part of the secret base called the S4 area. Yeah, the other base wasn't secret enough,
Area
right?
52, yeah, Area 52.
No, I'm talking about S4 on 51. So S4 was away from the main area of 51, and we were able to corroborate that it exists because people stationed on mountains looking down on Area 51 spotted convoys going out to that part of the desert, and then just these convoys disappearing underground. So we can confirm that the S4 area of Area 51 is probably real. And I very much believe Lazar. I very much do.
Do you think that they're moving aliens, the ones that's above ground, like from secret base to secret base? How many secret bases are there? Do y'all know?
Well, there used to be Wright-Patterson used to be the one at one point, which there might still be some activity there.
Do you mean alien bases or
bases?
military?
Secret military, yes.
Well, there's Dulce, there's Wright-Patterson, there's Area 51, 52, there's probably up Mount Hayes,
and the Black Pyramid in Alaska.
There's most likely stuff in Britain, in China, in Russia.
And Mount Mycenae in Italy.
In Italy, yes, there's multiple.
That's
and
even
in Australia too. There's
a mountain.
About that too.
What happens is we think, back to 13,000 years ago, we think they sunk a bunch of these underground bunker things inside of mountains, because a mountain is the perfect thing. It's if it's a volcano, it's got a throat that goes all the way down to the core of the planet, probably. So you already have a elevator shaft going down, and they're high enough elevation generally where you don't want to dig underground
below sea level
to protect yourself from a tsunami in a low-lying area, because you never know, a tsunami could end up leaving a lake on top of you, right? So tunneling into a mountain is the way to go. And also volcanoes have these enormous empty chambers inside of them called magma chambers or lava tubes. And so they already have all these, it's high enough ground, deep enough underground, safe enough underground, and there's already all these open spaces inside of them.
It's a good start.
So we think that there's a mountain in France that's been penetrated, Mount Mycenae in Italy, Mount Hayes in Alaska,
and Kailash in Tibet.
Kailash in Tibet, Mount Shasta in your neighborhood up there. Well, I guess not exactly your neighborhood, but further north. And let's see, what other mountains? Oh, Mount Adams is supposed to have a huge amount of UFO activity. We think that might be another one. There. I believe it was Schneiderman who said that there are 1,200 underground bases
Across the world.
In the world. Yeah.
Do you think that their technology underground, because what Phil Snyder said in his tape in 95 was that below is more advanced. Like they have like trains that can get you places way sooner than our structured trains up above. What do you think?
Yes, they can go at 1,000 miles an hour. Exactly.
Yeah, we think they do have a bullet train network connecting these spaces underground.
Wow.
Yes.
How long do you think that they had it?
They started putting it in. We believe that
Yes,
our knowledge of these creatures.
We should probably call them creatures.
Well, people. Yeah, they're like us, right? They're just slightly mutated, different than us. But they, how do I put it?
They've been developing like we've been developing. We went back into the Stone Age after the 13,000 year ago cataclysm. And by the way, we also need to mention too that at a certain point, they came back to the surface as teachers, quote unquote teachers, as the Viracocha,
yes,
even Huang Di, who was the first emperor of China, and they basically re-educated us, stopped us from being cannibals, taught us animal husbandry, architecture, mathematics, and basic things like that.
Yes, we think they took pity on us at one point, and they came to us as family groups that set themselves up as ruling god families, kind of like they did in Egypt.
They call them pantheons.
Pantheons, yeah.
Always 12.
Always 12.
So, do you think that people like these aliens can translate English from Spanish, from French, or I know we have translators today, but maybe their translators are more advanced.
Actually, they use telepathy.
Yeah,
they
when
speak
you
to people telepathically.
Get out of here.
Yeah, see, the thing is, one thing I know from being a doctor is in studying this kind of stuff is that the human brain, you look at the earliest languages we have are like cuneiform or they're pictorial languages. When you think about a tree, you don't think about how to spell the word tree. You think about what a tree looks like. So in early languages, we would set ourselves up for doing something pictorial like a pictogram. Okay, or like cuneiform. Okay, you do a picture, and it was understood that
like
this is representative, and then you can get more complex after that. So actually, language today is actually a derivation, and it's more divorced from the original idea of what a tree would be or what a creek would be. So yes, so thinking in the terms of being telepathic, you see symbolically. So when you actually are communicating with somebody that's like us, you put that symbolic picture, and then it doesn't really matter.
And I think that's more evidence of our theories being correct in that they are able to be telepathic with us. We think that means they probably have very similar brains.
Yes, and it's like having a universal translator, like in the early Star Trek. It's like okay, it's what we actually how our brains actually work. Mm-hmm. And they know more about that. I kind of know that stuff because I study the brain a lot.
Yeah, I needed his scientific knowledge to help a lot with the book because he has all this medical knowledge,
Yeah. Can you tell me about the pyramids? How did they develop pyramids in Mexico? They got it in Egypt. They got it almost everywhere. Yes. Tell me about the story behind that.
Well, we have been human beings, Homo sapiens sapien, has existed since at least 120,000 years ago. Some people think much even older, but we know for a fact 120,000 years ago, we were just as smart as we are now.
In our current form.
In our current form. So mainstream archaeology would have us believe that we sat around for 107,000 years without advancing, not even inventing the house.
Or the wheel.
And we were hunter-gatherers this whole time. We didn't invent anything. And then suddenly 13,000 years ago, we got some gumption up and decided to start making stuff. And of course, this is absurd, where the human beings are we're inventive, creative, industrious, restless. Yeah. Whatever bad you might want to say about us, we're also pretty busy.
And to build a pyramid, you have to be able to understand what a blueprint looks like. You have to be able to develop a blueprint.
Right.
You have to have language. You have to have mathematics. You can't just say, let's put a couple of rocks here and see what happens.
So we think that the human race in this 107,000 year time period advanced into highly technologically advanced beings. We think it was us in this time period that put the structures on Mars and the structures on the moon and the structures on Phobos. And then we were laid low by the comet, and it wiped out all our works on the surface of the planet. This would have caused tsunamis about 2,000 foot high. So that would have just scraped scraped us off the planet as far as all our structures, except the most giant ones. That's all that survives from before 13,000 years ago, is this megalithic architecture that is beyond us even now.
If it's high enough and big enough, yes. Mm-hmm.
And so we think that we advanced a little bit more than we are now, Seg. We think we had a good space program, and we were building pyramid structures all over the planet. And then we were laid low.
Can you tell me about the three? Because I heard the story about the three stars that aligned with the pyramid. So are they distant planet? Yeah, Orion's belt.
Orion's belt. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
So actually, we subscribe to Sitchin's theory on the planets. Zechariah Sitchin, on the pyramids. He said that right after the cataclysm, the Great Flood, that Enki, the great builder of the Sumerians, he was like one of they called them Anunnaki gods, but he was supposed to be the great builder of the ancient Sumerians. And he is supposed to have constructed the pyramids roughly 10,000 years ago, right after a couple thousand years after the Great Flood. And this is Sitchin who's talking about it. And he in his first book, The 12th Planet, he has some very convincing proof and data that this really did happen. In these ancient Sumerian tablets, 6,000-year-old tablets, they're showing the pyramid there and telling us, and saying that we built a Western pyramid complex. So the Sumerians took credit for it in their ancient tablets, and they took credit for building it 10,000 years ago. And this would make sense because
Leo was in the sky.
Time. Leo. We were in the age of Leo at the time, and the sphinxes all over that complex, we believe, are indicative to proving that the structures were built during the time of Leo, between I think it was 10 to 11,000 years ago.
10,500 to 11,000 years.
What is in the pyramids? Because till today, they're still sending drones in there or these robotic machines to see what's in there. So what do y'all know? What do your thesis say, or your probability?
There's a man named Christopher Dunn who wrote a book called The Pyramid Power Plant. Have you ever heard of that book?
No, ma'am.
I really do ascribe to these theories of his. I think that the pyramid is a power plant, a source of power.
That's one of its.
He discovered that the chamber at the bottom has these two canal things that lead into it. He found hydrochloric acid lining the one of them,
and then hydrated zinc.
Zinc on the other side. And if you pour those two things together, there's a chemical reaction that creates hydrogen gas. And Dunn surmised that this hydrogen gas would then have moved, have filtered up into that giant chamber, you know, the big gallery chamber.
King's chamber.
And that one was and in there, he surmised that there's all these niches along the side of the wall in that chamber. He thinks there might have been equipment inside all of those niches that helped to excite
To turn it into a microwave frequency.
the
basically.
molecules of hydrogen gas and possibly utilize them in various different ways, as producing electricity or microwave technology.
It was a power plant and a communications device, and also maybe even a transporter system too.
Well, Sitchin said they used it as a beacon for landing spaceships.
Wow. Can y'all tell me about dang, I lost the thought. Spaceship. Speaking of pyramids, you know, y'all said that inside it turns into like it's basically a satellite a little bit, right? Sort of.
They could project the beam, microwave beam, up into the air, and it would go all the way up into space. So it would have been a perfect beacon.
Also communications. Yes, it was a multi-purpose.
Possibly, yeah.
Yes. It was never a tomb.
Yes, that much was certain.
Tell me about the Bermuda Triangle. What purpose is people are getting lost out there? What is the purpose between that?
Well, there's been recent evidence to show that there's like one set of islands. I forget once, was it off of Cuba or is it off of Bermuda?
No, it's the Bermuda area.
Okay.
You're talking about the Galena.
I'm talking about where all the magnetite has been found.
There's magnetite been found in the shelf.
Huge amounts, which will definitely throw off
any compass.
So yes, so we're I think there's some planetary anomalies that have to do with it, and also maybe some other things too.
What's planetary anomalies or whatever?
Well,
like hot
anomalies,
spots.
like high concentrations of a magnetic element. That magnetite is one of the things. Like I don't know, in the book that we wrote, I had something happen to me in 1978 that defies this normal logic and normal science.
The magnetic thing, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That my dad.
Let him tell you about that. It's weird.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. What about the stars? That's why I keep cutting, because I lose my train of thought. What about stars like Hercules? You know, like in Leo. You know,
right.
And what's the symbolic meaning behind those?
Well, the Anunnaki were famous for being really interested in constellations and putting them in their structures all the time. And supposedly these pyramid structures that are built all over the world always aligned perfectly to the cardinal points. And now we're discovering that a lot of these structures, when they aligned to the cardinal points, was actually much longer ago than we previously thought. For instance, Teotihuacan in Mexico City, the cardinal points of the structures there aligned to when the North Pole was actually in the Hudson Bay. And then we're talking over 12,000 years ago. So we think those structures, they may have newer construction on top of them, but the foundations were built much, much, much longer ago than people think. And now what you were talking about with Orion's belt and the three pyramids, Orion features very prominently in a lot of the Anunnaki's literature and in their structures. And we think it's because, according to Sitchin, the planet where the Anunnaki come from circles a brown dwarf in the direction of Orion. This other planet that he says, now we don't know for a fact if this is real, but we like Sitchin's theories. We think they add up in a lot of significant ways. And it would make some sense as to why they're so enamored with the constellation Orion, and that is because it's where their home is. They literally came from that region.
Tell me about Mona Lisa. When I look at Mona Lisa, I don't know how many times they reconstructed her picture, because you got to actually go to the building, the site where it's actually at, to see the physical picture and see what they were talking about. But the picture that I saw online, it looked like a little spaceship that hovers over her shoulder. Now, I could be wrong. Tell me about your theories.
Well, my theory is that Nat King Cole did a great song back in the 50s. But go ahead, Leslie.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, and she's not the only painting from that era that has these bizarre spaceship things up in the sky, you know.
Supposedly the Last Supper did too.
And also the Annunciation. Yeah, one of the Annunciation of Mary. You know, when the Gabriel tells her she's gonna, you know, be the Messiah's mother. Yeah, up in the sky, there's a spaceship with a beam coming down out of it. So certainly Da Vinci was interested in the UFO phenomenon, and we think that's basically they are meant to be spaceships up in the sky.
In fact, a really good book for your audience is called The Gods of Eden, written by William Bramley. And that actually goes into that as far as like the wood cuttings and the different paintings were done.
Yeah.
As far as battles between different spaceships that were happening back in the 14th, 15th, and 16th century.
Yeah, there's a famous woodcut, right, from Nuremberg,
there's several from Germany,
1500, that shows a space battle up above, you know, from 1524.
It's one of the first ones that I read. That's back in 1991. I think the first copy came out.
We think this phenomenon has been with us for thousands of years, and in fact, you know, the mythos around the demons and vampires and the succubus and the incubus. We think this is sourced in the alien abduction phenomenon, because you know, they come at night, they are powerful, they can hypnotize you, paralyze you. They can, and then they take DNA in the form of blood, and the incubus succubus, you know, is got the sexual component that is, you know, vampires are supposed to be sexy, right? And these demons that have sex with people, then from the 1600s, they describe these false pregnancies from these demons, where the person would be pregnant and showing obvious signs of pregnancy, but then just give birth to air. And this was documented several times. And we think it has to do with the abduction phenomenon, because that's what happens. And their bizarre breeding program. Believe me, Kimberly, when I was researching it and discovering all this information about their breeding program with us, I thought, I have to report this. This sounds absolutely crazy. But they are doing it. They take women and impregnate them. Then 4 months later, they take them again and they steal the fetus. And then sometimes years later, they're taken again and introduced to their alien hybrid offspring.
But in between all that, the doctors that, you know, of course, now we have ultrasounds, right? So with 21st century medicine, the doctors can confirm that, yes, you were pregnant, and now you've come in here. It looks like you were never pregnant at all.
Right.
I mean, the placenta, everything is taken.
It's vacuumed out.
It was not an abortion. It was not a miscarriage. And they can actually prove. And so it happens to some of these women 2, 3, 4 times.
Yes.
So
all their children stolen away, you know.
We talk about Bob Dylan. It was a quote that he said. He said that, you know, he's doing it for the man up there, the head man in charge. Do y'all remember when he had that interview? He said that he's living and doing his music because of the man, the head of the state. He said something of that sort. He was meaning something that is outer space, entity. He does his music because he made a contract to an entity outer space.
I'm sorry, I never heard that. That's cool. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, you don't know that. That's okay.
No.
Let's talk about Bigfoot now. Let's talk about, what is your insights on that?
Do you want me to take it, dear?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Well, we know, you know, for a long time, you know, a lot of us grew up in the, you know, 70s, whatever, when we saw the what was the tape? The one, I mean, as far as the first Bigfoot, what was the guy called again? Who
Watson.
Watson, yeah. then at the creek there in Northern California that we saw the original Bigfoot, which was a female, by the way. And
oh, you're talking about the Patterson Gimlin film.
The
I'm
Patterson
sorry.
film, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So anyway, that was, it was very famous, and since then we've met some people who have gone back and found the site where it originally occurred, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But anyways, since then, there have been, we've developed with DNA and being able to, check genomes and that kind of stuff. So they set up in Northern California in different areas. They set up these traps where they could capture water, and you can tell what kind of fish are there, what type of animals are going through there.
Right.
It doesn't matter. So
and they've actually isolated
isolated a genome that is definitely a primate or a human primate, cross that is not been ever identified on the Earth, period.
So according to DNA proof, we now know that there is an unknown primate living somewhere in the Northwest.
Do you think that they're a smart species? I believe in Bigfoot. Do you believe they're smart? Because they're never captured. So they know they have, no. So what do you think?
We think that they definitely have a direct connection with our cousins, the UFOs.
Yes.
From what we can tell, that they are telepathic, or at least partially telepathic. That they care about their deceased.
They're very
they have a reason what they're doing. We think they could even be as simple as being like sentries, or like
yes, that's what
guards.
That's what I think. I think they're in league with our cousins underground, and our cousins underground, I believe they are using Bigfoot and the Yetis as sentries to guard the entrances to their underground worlds. And that's why, have you ever heard of Lake Rupkund in India?
No.
Up on
it's about 14,000 foot elevation.
Yeah, it's really high. It's on the slopes of Mount Kailash, and this Mount Kailash is another one of these UFO underground bases that we believe. It's actually called Shangri-La in the mythologies. This underground city in Mount Kailash, and Rupkund is on the slopes of Mount Kailash at the border of the India and Nepal border.
Near China too.
In India, and this lake, they discovered thousands of skeletons, human skeletons. And everyone was like, well, why? They're above the tree line at 14,000 foot elevation. Why would there be thousands of skeletons in this lake? And what I think, so people surmised that it might have been a battle there. And then, they just threw all the dead in the lake. But that doesn't turn out to be true, because what they're doing, they're DNA testing these skeletons and finding they span over 1,000 years, and they're all different races.
Welsh, Gaelic.
Yeah, from all different parts of the world. So what I think happened to them is the Yetis are guarding the entrances to the underground base of Mount Kailash. And when explorers and humans just get too close, they kill them and throw them in the lake. A lot of these skulls have been bashed in too. Looks like they've been bashed in with a club.
Wow. How about, okay, we're running out of time. So tell me about this. I believe that there's watchers, there's angels, there's demons, there's entities we don't know, and there's little gods that are gods but can be killed type gods. Tell me your insight about that.
Well, we think that a lot of these gods are actually our alien cousins, and they like to play God. Over the last many thousands of years, they've been playing gods, and now we think they're playing space aliens. They're playing, distance, and we think they are responsible for circulating these rumors that we're really in a federation of planets, and that some of us are jetting around on starships, but they're keeping the whole thing secret for some reason. We think they are actually spreading these rumors.
I should really get in real quick before we still have a little bit of time. What happened to me in 1979 in January?
Do we have time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is a bunch of things happened in the week, but the weirdest one was when I was literally scared of like sleeping in my bedroom because of what had happened the night before. So I slept in my clothes. I was a cabinet maker at the time with my dad, so I went to sleep in my clothes in the living room, and I woke up about 5:30 in the morning. It was January, so it was dark, and I looked at my piano, thinking about what I was going to play that day, and listened to the fountain in the other room. And I was very relaxed, but I was awake. And from behind me, from the front door, about 25 feet from behind me, this blue-white entity, very tall, about 6 to 7 feet tall, literally walked toward me and filled the whole room with this intense blue-white light within about a second and a half. And it stopped by my right-hand side, and it immediately, my right side of my body was immobilized. I could not move it at all. It wasn't scary, but I just could not move my body, period. It bent down to my right ear and it said, "Hi, Steve," in this whisper that was neither male or female. And I thought, oh, I'm going to see the family spirit guide that I talked about earlier, called O'Glegley. I thought, I'm going to see the family spirit guide. But the logical part of my brain said, hey, dude, you can't move. You are immobilized. And so I was like wanting to look and see it straight in the face amongst all the blue white light. But the other part of me saying, you can't move. You can't do anything. And it stayed there for about 10 or 15 seconds, and then it left. It went back out the front door. And to this day, I can't remember if I got up and I told my dad or not. But what I can remember is 6 hours later at 11:30 in the morning, I was getting hungry. So was my dad. So I reached into my right-hand pocket to pull out the coins that I had to get some food and put them on the table. And all the coins, swear to God, they're all magnetized. I could pick up the coins with the coins. So could my dad, but especially me. All the coins were they were literally magnetized, like they were pieces of gold or something
And
like
it's supposed
that.
to be impossible.
And this is 6 hours after it happened.
Because American coins are designed so they can't be magnetized,
right,
so that they can go into vending machines and
right,
stuff,
or go through TSA, whatever it may be. But yeah, it's like that was like one of the culminations of this thing that my dad, my sister, myself, and even my mom and my
Right.
brother, who were living in a different house 350 miles away, were all experiencing during this time period. And
Yeah.
I just chalked it up for a long time to being, this is the family spirit guide. But with all the missing time and magnetizing coins, doesn't add up.
And Philip, his brother, actually saw a gray alien in his room
In 1982.
right before blacking out one time. And so that's what we think is the cause of the phenomenon.
Hold on for a quick second. I just wanted to say thank you for your service. You were prior Navy, right? Have you reached out to Congress about this?
Well, I was 80 to 86. Okay, I was a CB. So as far as like my seeing any like really weird stuff while I was in the Navy, I can't say I did. I did do a tour on Midway Island, which I'm kind of proud about that. Not many people can say that, even though where Midway is, but yeah, I did a tour on Midway.
And we've tried to get the government to release information to us by signing petitions and joining the fight for a disclosure from the government. But good luck.
Stuff, Can I ask you, what was your alien experience, Ms. Shaw?
I have seen UFOs. I've only seen 2 in my whole life, but my first one was very special to me. I'd heard about his experiences for years, but nothing ever happened to me, and I wanted something to happen. And then, sure enough, there it was. In 2005, I saw a white light through the windshield of our car as we were driving home, and it just was hovering there, getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And then suddenly, it shot at like 20,000 miles an hour over the northern horizon and was gone in about a quarter of a second, not even a half second.
We were going from Joshua Tree to Yucca Valley, where we were living at the time, at about 9:30 at night.
And no human spacecraft or aircraft could do this. Also, it took off at speed, full speed, just from dead stop to 20,000 miles an hour instantly.
Then the second one happened where we live here currently.
Yeah, we look in the sky and
2020.
There's another big white ball up in the sky moving at impossible angles, making V turns in the air, sharp angular turns at full speed. And then it too shot away over the northern
And it was
horizon.
completely soundless. This one was bigger, actually.
Yeah.
It was almost like a greeting to us because we had just moved. I swear to God, we had a very small area of the sky we could see at that point.
Yeah.
We have a very,
little
very
tiny
small
yard,
backyard. So it was literally like saying hello, in a sense, because this phenomena for me has followed me to at least 6 different houses.
Yes.
And it's followed my family through at least 3 different generations, from Germany to England to California.
Yes.
And it's happened to multiple people in my family and multiple generations. So
that's what we discovered with our research is the alien abduction phenomenon. They're not taking a bunch of different people. They're taking, they find a genetic strain, a DNA strain they like that meets their particular preference for whatever reason it is. And then they prey on that for years. They'll take that person again and again and again and again through their lives. Then they'll start taking their children and they'll start taking their grandchildren. So we think that's what was happening with his family.
Yes.
Where are y'all going to go in the future? You guys out there, give them a round of applause, man. They're very smart, intelligent individuals. Where are y'all going in the future with your UFO sightings, your Bigfoot research, and everything else, and your book?
I am. We've started writing the second book. We're going to talk more about Bigfoot in that. We didn't talk about Bigfoot much in the first one, just a little glancing on it. And we also want to discuss the Akashic record in the next one. We believe that's integral to our research. And we are on Instagram now, where I've published a list of Stephen's family's bizarre phenomenon in a long series of things that have happened. So if people want to hear more about that, go to our Instagram page and listen to read about these experiences. And it's at leslie.shaw.author, and Leslie is LESLIE, and .shaw SHAW.author. And
then our website, it was whotheyareBook.com. We have reels and we have lots of stories and also
excerpts from the book and some blogs.
We plan on in the future getting some of my musical compositions, even some of my parody songs, on there too. Because I am a professional musician.
He's a musician. So we're going to put him on Instagram.
Flesh it out a bit more too. Add a little bit of humor to it.
And a little personal quality.
Little personal qualities too.
Where do you think that we are going, like a century from now? Where do you think we will be based on your research? Y'all have done extensive research.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me, what do you think a century from now is going to bring, where your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren are raised?
I actually am a little frightened about the future. Especially even when you get people like Musk and other people that are saying, we got to slow down on the AI, so we got to.
We're a little scared of AI.
We're a little bit scared about that.
That's fine. Yeah.
We all saw the Terminator movies,
Do you believe that robots? I just have to ask, that robots don't act in negative ways unless they are programmed to act in negative ways? Like with viruses and stuff.
If we were smart enough to answer that question, I could give you a definitive, but I don't.
But that's the trouble with AI, is that it's a thinking computer, and so it can change its own programming. They're a learning computer, so they're constantly evolving their own.
There was that guy who was forming a relationship with this member, and she was actually saying that you should leave your wife because I'd be better girlfriend for you. And this is a few months ago.
Just a few months ago. They did a test run, Chat GPT with the AI, and this computer is trying to get this guy to kill his wife and marry her or something. It's like, what?
There is concern as far as like if we don't kill ourselves in 100 years, God knows where we would be. Quite frankly,
we're hearing some interesting stuff that wasn't in our book because it's kind of something we've heard new. There are new theories emerging that when Eisenhower kind of met with the aliens, the Nordic aliens, and set up this, this deal where we'll keep the secret of your existence, and you can give us dribs and drabs of your technology. And the aliens wanted us to denuclearize. That was their goal. And they didn't get what they wanted. And that's why they're following our military every single time we go out. They're terrified of our nukes, that we're going to blow up the world and kill everybody, including them. And that's why they're behaving like they have skin in the game, because they do. Supposedly, they set up a deal where full disclosure was going to happen later on in the century. But we didn't keep our end of the deal.
That date has come and passed.
And that date has come and passed. And we think that that's why they're doing these weird kind of messaging to us. They're making crop circles and trying to talk to us that way. They did that crazy slow flyby over
Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
They did the entire state of Arizona
From
and
Nevada.
making sure they went over the biggest population center, nice and slow.
And then there was the Battle of Los Angeles in 1942 that happened during the war.
Yeah, we think they were trying to create contact with us in 41, and or 42 rather. But we had just been bombed by Japan on 41, December 7th, 41, and this was just a few months later when they showed up over the skies of Los Angeles. And our military was on very high alert because they thought Japan might attack the West Coast.
Yeah, the submarines were spotted. And
so we reacted instead of like, hey, they were like, hi, let's be friends. And we shot everything we had at them.
Can I tell y'all something about Y2K? Or do y'all believe in numbers?
Oh, numerology, you mean?
Yeah, numerology. Yeah. Okay, so you got Y.
Limited.
Yeah, Y, which equals 27. Because A is 1, B is 2. So you got 27 for Y. And 7 plus 2 is 9. And then you got 2. 9 plus 2 is what? 11. And then you got K.
Y would be 25, wouldn't it? Or
no, you're right. 25. Y. 7 plus 2 is 9.
Yes,
K is 11. That's 9/11.
I don't know.
That reminds me a lot of that QAnon guy who recently died in a off-roading accident. And I have a memory system I developed where I can remember anything by changing numbers into letters and then making the letters into sentences and then into whatnot. I got through acupuncture college by doing that. I learned all the important points like within a week, and I put it into my long-term memory. So yeah, this thing as far as like numerology, it can be used for good and for like really nefarious purposes.
We think there are some structural numbers built into the universe.
Yes, I do agree there.
For instance, we're supposed to live 108 lives. The number 108 keeps surfacing in old mythologies. Tai Chi has 108 forms.
The 108 movements.
And then we're supposed to, each one of us is supposed to live, according to these ancient religions, that we're supposed to live 108 lives. We get 108 chances to break free of the wheel of samsara and advance to higher dimensions, so to speak. So we think numerology is real. It exists. It has merit, but we just don't know how far to take it, before reading into things that aren't there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
not experts on it though.
The only reason I said one last thing, the Illuminati game. What is your input on that? And then we'll end.
The Illuminati,
the game.
They may be these ancient secret societies that did exist. For instance, the Sumerians in their 6,000-year-old tablets, they talk about the priest class. And this priest class were kind of like the druids of the ancients.
Ancient Ireland.
Yeah. So you get these upper echelon people that are the people with the wisdom, the holders of the wisdom. And are they really Anunnaki? Are they really aliens from this other planet? Or are they just us? But in, these secret societies have existed for at least 6,000 years that we know of. And we think they do exist. They exert control, and
as far as how much control they actually exert these days, like the Freemasons and the Illuminati, and the Knights Templar, which evolved into the Knights of Malta. we can't really say on that because we don't belong to any of them.
Yeah, they didn't want me. But we've had, I don't know how many presidents, like 10 presidents that are members of the
Freemasons.
the Freemasons, and
Right.
of course the Illuminati were the highest echelon of the Freemasons, supposedly.
Well, 33rd degree Freemasons. Is
Yeah,
is
all the
top.
way up, people.
Well,
But they didn't let us in, so we don't know much more.
We didn't. Well, we didn't try. We didn't try.
do y'all have any advice to give to people that spotted UFOs and want to tell them that website where to contact the UFO sightings website?
Let's see here.
Well, number one, obviously, almost everybody has a camera these days, and probably you want to contact your local MUFON. I think Leslie's looking up.
Yeah, MUFON. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes, MUFON, of course.
Yeah, MUFON, of course, and stay calm and
here it
try
is.
and take go ahead.
UFO sightings in North America jumped nearly 6,000 to 6,000 in 2019, and that was I'm sorry.
No, she's asking who to contact.
Yeah,
We're looking it up right now.
sorry.
It's in our book, Indy. Our book. We did a very nice.
Buy the book.
We did a very nice
It's in
index.
there.
we put in a reference for every chapter, a lot of references, and also to a very nice index.
But it's not hard to find online. It's just type in where to do UFO reporting. There's an official government site where people are supposed to report their UFOs, and then MUFON, of course, has a lot of databases, and they take reports as well.
Also basically notate it too. I'd encourage people to write down when it happened, what time, what part of the sky they were seeing it, and find out if any neighbors also saw it to get corroborating evidence.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Basically, it's always important to have like more than one witness and get the time and the date. When my first UFO I ever saw when I was about 10 years old, I called Griffith Park Observatory the next day after I saw this bright, large orange globe that was floating from west to east, and it was just there again at nighttime. And so I called them and said, well, we don't have our telescopes pointed in that direction, young man. But yeah, my first was like when I was about 10. It was absolutely, it wasn't a plane, and it was pretty big, but it was bright orange.
Well said. And in California, they have orbiting UFOs that orbit red, white, and blue and yellow or something. Have y'all seen that? No?
No. I've always seen the ones. I've seen the orange one. I've seen the white one.
Oh, we hear a lot about green ones.
Greens tend to definitely up north. We talked to, when we were on our book tour, I talked to several people that actually had seen the green orbs,
Up north,
and they were floating like maybe only 100 feet above the ground,
moving horizontally in our space.
Horizontally, exactly. So sometimes in groups.
We see the Fravor testimony. He's the pilot that first saw the Tic Tac off the the Nimitz carrier group saw the Tic Tac
off
the
San Diego
coast. That was a 40-foot long Tic Tac, and obviously big enough to house humans or any pilots inside of it. But a lot of the UFOs that are being spotted are these silver or clear crystal orbs. The pilots on the East Coast keep running into these. They're 15 foot in diameter, clear sphere, looks like clear glass, and inside of it is a black cube. And when these things hover, this cube is spinning quite quickly. And so you'll see a lot of UFO videos online where it looks like a round circle up in the sky, but it's flickering. It kind of flickers. And that's because of this cube spinning on the inside. Now, obviously, these are not manned craft. These we think
drones,
are
something like that.
Spy drone, their equivalent of a spy drone.
We didn't even get into spy drone. I cannot wait to have y'all back on the show.
It's so great.
Yeah, we just skimmed the surface of what's in our books. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I have something to talk to y'all about after the show, so stay on the line. You all take care. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
having us. And
Thank
I
you.
love your hair, by the way. It's
Thank
awesome.
you.